Hi everyone, Crista Cowan here with another episode of The Barefoot Genealogist. Today we are talking about collaboration. I just returned from the National Genealogical Society's annual conference and was reminded again about the importance of this topic as I networked with other genealogists, as I worked with some of you in the Ancestry.com booth, helping you with some family history challenges and brick walls. We play a fun little game at our conferences called Stump the Genealogist, where we gather a dozen or more people together in our booth, and they ask me questions and try to stump me, and sometimes they do. But it's just really a good experience to get together with other genealogists and to learn from each other and to kind of help each other forward the work. Now, family history sometimes feels a little bit like an isolationist hobby. We sit alone in our computers at 2 a.m. in our pajamas and our bare feet and hope that, somebody's out there doing some of the same research we are. When we find it, we don't always connect with people the way that we should. And so today, that's one of the things that I want to talk about is how to connect with each other better, how to collaborate with each other better so that we all improve together as a community and so that we grow our family trees. Now, some of the things that I'm going to talk about today might be a little bit inflammatory is not the right word, but some of you may bristle a little bit at it. Your experience, your past experiences may not have always been pleasant in working with other people, and that's okay. What I'd like you to do just for today, for the 20 minutes or so that we have together, is just to set some of that aside and listen to some of the things that I'm going to share, maybe with a little bit more of an open mind, maybe with a little bit more of a forward-thinking vision, and just set those past experiences aside. We've all been burned probably by some experiences with others in the genealogy community. But I think that together, one of the things that we can do is really elevate the genealogy community, the conversations that we're having, the assistance that we're offering each other, and the collaboration opportunities that are available. I think the tools are there, the opportunity is there. Now it's our turn to step into that and to really start to make really good use of those. And I think what we'll see happen is not just my family tree and your family tree, but our family tree will grow a lot quicker and we'll discover more things together. So, long introduction, but I think it was important to say some of those things. So let's talk about the topic. Let's just dive right in. Collaborating with others to grow your family tree. As we think about this, there are just a few questions that have kind of been rattling around in my head over the last week or so as I've been preparing for this. I brainstormed, I've asked others this question. The questions are, what are some ways we could work together? Are there better ways we can work together as family members? And I mean that as family members who may or may not have an interest in genealogy. I mean that as family members, meaning 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th cousins that meet online because we have overlapping portions of our family tree. How can we work together better as family members? How can we work together better as a genealogy community? And once you become part of Ancestry.com, you are part of our family, part of our community, but there are a lot of little circles of genealogy communities throughout, as well as the larger genealogy community. And then this question actually grew out of some of the discussions I had based on that first question, which are, what could you do to make it easier for others to find you and work with you? So one of the things that I've discovered, and I fall guilty of this sometimes as well, is I want other people to work with me, but I'm not always willing to work with other people. And that's a sad mindset that sometimes we get stuck in, is we want people to share with us, but we're not willing to share with them. Or, we want people to put their trees online and make them public, but we're not willing to do the same. Or we want people to share all the photos that they have in their mother's attic, but we've scanned all these photos and haven't uploaded a single one online yet. Lots of different ways that scenario plays out. Those are just a few examples, but one of the things that we need to maybe be just taking a really hard look at ourselves and asking is, what could we do to make it easier for others to find us and to work with us? So I'm actually going to go in reverse today. We're going to start with this last question first and then work our way up through these other 2 items. So the first question then is, what can you do? There are a couple of things, very simple, very easy things that you can do. The first one is update your public profile on Ancestry.com. That may seem like a really, really simple thing, and it is. It's easy to do, but it has a big impact. If you didn't know about your public profile, let me just share with you really quickly how you get there. You're going to find it under the Collaborate tab. The bottom option there is going to be Public Profile. And then I'm going to encourage you to actually upload a photo and update your research interests. So if I'm on Ancestry.com, let's make my screen bigger. Okay, if I'm on Ancestry.com, Public Profile is the bottom option there under Collaborate. Now you can see here when we get to my public profile, I have a photo that I've uploaded. It's not even a photo of my face. It's a photo of my feet and my computer, you know, because I'm the barefoot genealogist. It's got my actual name. Now that's a decision every one of you have to make for yourselves, but one of the things that we have discovered over the last, decade or so as social media and public online interaction has occurred is that people who use their real names actually tend to receive more interaction. That's the way that the Facebook platform is built, for example. They actually not only encourage you to use your real name, but if they suspect that you're not, they'll cancel your account. And so, a lot of the internet was built around this concept of anonymity, but this emerging social media thing says if you use your real name, that people are more likely to reach out to you, people are more likely to trust you, people are more likely to interact with you. So I have my Ancestry.com username, but what anybody sees when they see my public profile or when they see my tree is my actual name. Now, I've also included, just because I chose to, where I'm located, and then a little bit of a biography, a couple of sentences about my genealogy experience and some of my specialties, a couple of sentences about my employment here at Ancestry.com. I wanted to, for my purposes, I needed that to be a full disclosure thing so that people knew who I was when they were contacting me. Then you have all sorts of other things that you can update if you choose to. You don't have to. I would say at the minimum, put up a picture and a sentence or 2 about your genealogy experience. But then you also have the option to enter information about yourself and your research, your lineage, and your occupation. You can enter specific information about your family history experience. You can add links to websites if you write a blog, if you have a family website that you've started. You can also see here I have added research interests. Make that a little bigger again. I've added research interests here where I've added surnames and locations where I'm researching. So anybody who comes to my public profile can actually see what some of my research interests are. And if they have common interests, we can connect that way. There's also a link to my public tree and some of my favorite message boards. So I've got message boards that I follow, that information is there. So this is my public profile. I'm in the edit view right now so that I can update things, but you can switch to see what the public will see and how it will look to them. And that's important for a couple of reasons. It makes you findable. Okay, so for example, I could go into this member directory here, and if I knew somebody's username, I could just type it in and I could find them. And if they had a public tree, I could link to that. If they had message boards that they posted to, I could link to that. So I can search for any Ancestry.com member by their username. I can also search for people by locations or lineages. If I know that people are researching Jewish family history, I'm looking for somebody that does that. If I'm looking for somebody who is an expert family history researcher who does this every day, I could look for a list of those people. I could look for anybody who's researching Hawkins County, Tennessee. That's I could come in here and type that in, and I could search for people based on that. But it's only in there if people have updated their public profiles. So go ahead and do that. This is also what people see if they're looking at your family tree and they click on your username. This is where they come. And so one of the things we've discovered, this is going to sound silly, but it's true, is that if you have a photo, people are more likely to contact you. Somehow it makes it look like you're more active or more involved. It, like I said, doesn't even have to be a photo of you. Put a photo of your cat up if that makes you more comfortable. But photos tend to pique more interest or encourage people to contact you more. So that was a long time to spend on our very first item, and we still have like 7 things to cover. But that's important. It's something you can do to make yourself findable. Also, I would encourage you to check your contact information on Ancestry.com. Verify that your email address is correct. Under your username, so right here under your username, you're going to see a few things. You're going to see site preferences, email settings, and my alerts. I would encourage you to check each one of those. Your email settings determine what emails, excuse me, what emails you get from Ancestry.com. Your alerts determine what information you get. For example, if you've shared your tree with somebody, do you get notified anytime a change is made to your tree? Site preferences, same thing. So all of those have to do with the email you get. Are you getting emails about DNA matches or not? Are you getting emails about people trying to contact you or not? Do you want people to be able to contact you directly? Do you want your email address to be displayed? Or do you want people to have to contact you through the Ancestry messaging service, which is this little envelope icon right here? All of those settings are found under your username in these 3 locations: email settings, my alerts, and site preferences. I would encourage you really strongly to go check those to make sure that they're set the way that you want them, so that you're receiving the communication both from Ancestry.com and from other users that you want to be receiving. Just, again, it makes yourself more findable, more accessible, and hopefully people, when they reach out now, will have some success in contacting you. Now, I've just outlined 6 quick ways that, based on my conversations and brainstorming and experiences over the years and time at the conference last week, just 6 quick ways that we can collaborate better with each other, whether it is as a genealogy community or as family members, immediate or extended. So the first thing is actually to communicate with each other. Don't just copy trees and photos. If you find that someone has a relative of yours or an ancestor of yours in their family tree, that's great. One of the reasons we give you the ability to copy that information is because we're trying to make that as easy as possible without making it too easy, right? We don't just let you copy an entire branch of a tree or someone's whole family tree. We don't want to make it too easy, because we have found sometimes when we make things too easy, people make more mistakes. So we allow you to copy one person or one immediate family group at a time, and photos and whatever. Like, we do that, and we want to provide you with those tools. But I would encourage you to also send messages to those people. Anytime you find someone in a family tree, let me just pull up an example here. So anytime you find someone in someone else's family tree, if you look right in the top center of that, scroll down here. Thought I had my family trees at the top. There we go. Okay. So anytime you're looking at somebody on a tree, the owner name, the person who owns the tree, is going to be listed right here, kind of in the top center of that page. If you click on that, you can then view their profile. You can also contact them. So it gives you the opportunity to send private messages to people. It doesn't hurt just to reach out and say, hey, I saw that you have my great-great-grandfather on your tree. I couldn't quite figure out how we're related. How are you related to this person? Ask questions, open-ended questions, so that gives them encouragement to reply. You also can make public comments on anyone's tree. So anytime you're on a tree here, you can comment on this. There's this little comment button over here. So for example, if this was my grandfather, I could just make a comment on this tree that just said something to the effect of, that I'm also related to this person. If I have more information, I can volunteer that additional information, maybe give my username so that other people could come to my tree and take a look at it, or include a URL so that they could come to my tree and see more information. If there's conflicting information, if there is additional information available, whatever, right? Anything, you can comment on any single person on a tree. So I can contact the user directly and send private messages, or I can make public comments. Now keep in mind, these are public comments, which means anybody who comes to this tree will be able to view this comment. So, keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to commandeer the Homeland Security tagline for just a minute, because I think that this is an important part of collaboration. And again, keep an open mind, don't bristle. If you see something, say something. Very often we see family trees, and if we see errors, we just kind of roll our eyes and move on, or we get angry and don't move on, or whatever. And so one of the things that I would encourage you to do is to offer help when you see errors in another's tree. If you see something that is blatantly inaccurate, send them a message, send them a private message. If they don't respond to the private message, send them, maybe put a comment on the tree, maybe do both. And then the other thing I would encourage you, and this is kind of the flip side of that same coin, don't take offense when someone else points out possible errors in your tree. One of the things that I have learned since making my family tree public online is that some people take great delight in pointing out errors, and they don't do it in the most tactful or even the kindest way possible. That's their issue. That's not my issue. I have learned to be really grateful that they point out the error at all. And sometimes they're correct, right? I make mistakes. I have things in my family tree that have been in my family tree since I was 12 or 13 years old, when I just got started and didn't know what I was doing. I have things that are in my family tree that have been there since I inherited it at that age. I inherited a lot of stuff, and I haven't vetted it all out. I have errors in my tree, and that was one of my hesitations about making it public, but I have actually discovered that since making my family tree public, more people are commenting on my errors, which means they're helping me clean up my tree. How can I begrudge that? Even if they don't do it in the most tactful or the kindest way possible, I have learned not to take offense when they point out those errors. Sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes I had it accurate, and I'm able to then communicate back with them and help educate them a little bit about where I got that information and why I came to that conclusion. So if we just view this as offer help when you see errors in others' trees, don't take offense when someone else points out errors in your tree, learn to communicate with each other about these things so that we can create the best, most well-sourced, well-documented, family trees possible. It just helps everybody, right? Okay, we only have a few minutes. So this kind of goes along with the previous two, and I wasn't going to put it in because I thought, well, of course this doesn't need to be said. But sadly, as I interact with a lot of you through message boards, through private messages, as I've looked at comments on trees, as I've tracked stuff on social media, one of the things that I've discovered is that we need to be a lot kinder to one another. Here are just two kind of ideas around this that I try to live by. One is never assume experience or lack thereof on the part of the person that you're communicating with. I've seen people throw around, the term newbie as if it was a derogatory term. I've seen people, criticize people who should know better. Just never assume that people are experienced or are not experienced. And then do assume, that everyone is doing their best with the knowledge they have at the time. Even people who, have come to Ancestry.com and signed up for that 14-day free trial and clicked and connected their tree back to however far. I've talked to several people at the conference who said that that's what they did. That's how they got started, and it was exciting to them to see how far back they could take their tree. And now now that they're hooked, now that they're interested in it, now they're going back and documenting and pruning and doing all of that, right? But if they hadn't had that initial cool experience, they never would have come into family history at all. If somebody had squashed that enthusiasm or that excitement right out of the gate, they would have just walked away. And some of those people may have the information that you need. Some of those people may hold the pictures or the family Bibles or have access to the piece of information that will help you break through your brick wall. So it should go unsaid, but unfortunately, I have to say it, be kind to one another in your communications with each other. And I think you'll find that we will grow the community a lot faster, a lot easier, and a lot better. Okay, tip number 4 here has to do with when people don't respond to you at all in some cases. I know I have sent messages out that have never been responded to, or they don't respond to you in the way that you expect them to. Just don't get too discouraged. I have my moments of frustration and I have my moments of sadness when I find something and I'm so excited to connect with someone and then they just don't reply. Maybe they passed away. That has happened. Maybe they no longer have an Ancestry.com account and the email attached to that account is no longer valid. And so they have no way of knowing that you've sent them a message. Maybe they didn't know to look for that little, envelope to see if they even have messages. Hopefully, if you're one of those people, now you know better. But, there's a lot of reasons people don't reply right away. Personally, I only get to my Ancestry email box maybe once a week to take the time to reply to that. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 weeks, depending on my travel schedule. Sometimes I'll read a message and I'll think, oh, that's going to take so much longer to reply to that and give a thoughtful reply than I have time for right now. And so it sits for another couple of weeks. So lots of reasons why people don't reply right away, or why when they do, that they don't respond the way we expect them to. Just don't get too discouraged. Continue to be kind, continue to be encouraging, and I think that you'll find that the people who want to collaborate, the people who want to work together, the people who want to improve their family history skills and their family trees, they'll start to come together. And the people who don't will kind of fall by the wayside until they're ready to participate. Okay, last 2 tips. One is that not everyone you collaborate with in the genealogy community is going to be related. And here's what I mean by that, right? We've been talking about connecting with people based on trees, common people in trees, or things that you find that way. But there is this huge genealogy community, and while they might not be researching your family, they may be researching the same locations, right? They may be familiar with records from Germany, from a specific region in Germany, or from southern Italy. They may know all about vital records from, the UK, or Canadian immigration, or there are just a ton of different subsets in the genealogy community of people with both location and record type expertise. And so there are tons of ways to find them and to collaborate with them. Of course, Facebook has become a huge way to do that. If you're not familiar already, Ancestry.com has a Facebook page. If you go to that Facebook page, you'll find that we have, let's see, I didn't even check, about 563,000 people connected on our Facebook page, and you can post. You can post anything there to request help, to ask a question about how to do something, or to get direction. And oftentimes, people in this community then know about other Facebook groups or organizations that you can reach out to. So, for example, I could come in here and I can type in Polish genealogy, and I can see that there is a 628-member open group on Facebook who discuss Polish genealogy. So maybe somebody on the Ancestry.com Facebook page couldn't help me, but maybe somebody in this group could. Or maybe you have something to offer. You'll notice that several genealogical societies also now have Facebook pages. So you can interact with the members of the society there to make a decision about whether or not you want to participate in or be part of that genealogical society. So go ahead and go to your little search bar on Facebook and just type in anything you want about family history or genealogy, and you'll find all sorts of groups out there that will provide you with information or additional opportunities to collaborate with others. Also, we have on Ancestry.com our message boards. If you're not familiar with those or how they work, under the Collaborate tab, you're going to see message boards, and the message boards here are organized by surname or by location. And I did a whole live stream broadcast on message boards. You can find it on our YouTube channel. If you're not familiar with how those work, go watch that and figure that out. But that's a great opportunity to interact with other people who are researching people in the same location. So maybe not necessarily family, but certainly people you could interact with and collaborate with. On Ancestry.com, we also have our community forums. You're going to find those under the Get Help button here, and then ask the community. It's an opportunity to just ask about products like DNA or Family Tree Maker. You can ask about specific research questions or issues. Any of that is available there. So lots of opportunities there. And then, of course, I mentioned genealogical societies. If you have one in your area, I would strongly encourage that you look into joining. Usually genealogical societies meet once a month, and some of them have newsletters or other resources available. Sometimes they have libraries and books. They certainly have the opportunity to collaborate with other members who are interested in family history. And that brings me to my last point, which is when you start to think about how you can work together or collaborate with your family members, and this usually is, when I say that, I mean immediate family members. Not all of them are going to be interested in the online or even offline genealogy research that you are doing, but there are points of interest. There are ways that they might be interested in collaborating with you. And so don't feel like you have to do it all alone. As a matter of fact, don't do it all alone. Some of you want to do it all by yourself, and what you're doing in that case is oftentimes robbing them of participating in this experience. So if you have, maybe you have family members that could help you scan pictures. Maybe they could conduct interviews. I know my mom actually came. We had a box of photos, and she came here and sat at a scanner. I think it was for 2 full days, and just scanned photos, and it was so cool. At the end of my work day, I would go get her, and she would just tell me about, and then I found this picture, and there was this cool thing, and she was so excited to be able to share some of that. And now she's learning how to do some photo editing. She got some photo editing software, and so she has started to work on some of those pictures to clean them up and to label them and whatever. And so there are ways that people who, even if they're not interested in doing genealogy research, there are still some ways to get them involved. Feed them questions that they can ask Grandma or Aunt Sally at the next Thanksgiving dinner, or maybe send out a family email and ask them to respond, and maybe then one of your nephews or sons or grandsons will help you collate all that information and put it together in some kind of a cool PowerPoint, or maybe he'll want to make a movie out of it. I mean, there's so many technology things, especially that the younger generation are just so intuitively savvy at, that, involve them in that. Find ways to collaborate with them. Find ways to give them opportunities to do things. As the weather warms up in most parts of the country, I heard the East Coast isn't exactly warm yet, but in most parts of the country, as the weather's warming up right now, opportunities to visit and clean up cemeteries, to get scouting groups involved in some of those, to photograph cemeteries and upload that information to Find a Grave. There's just so many opportunities for people to get involved and to get family members involved. So hopefully I've shared with you some of my ideas. Hopefully some of my ideas have sparked some additional ideas in you. I would love to hear about them if you're going to be on chat immediately following our live presentation, or if you're watching an archived version of this on YouTube, please share them in the comments. The questions that we need to just keep asking ourselves are, what are some ways we can work together as family members and as a genealogy community? And what can we do to make it easier for others to find us and work with us? That's all I have prepared for you today. If you have suggestions for topics for future presentations, please email me. It's that time of the month again where I am starting to put together the calendar for next month for the topics that we'll be discussing in our broadcasts each week. So if you have any suggestions for topics, please email those to me at ask@ancestry.com. Until next time, this is Crista Cowan. Have fun climbing your family tree.